In the winter of 1973, audiences wrapped around city blocks, braving freezing temperatures, to see a movie that would leave people fainting in the aisles. The Exorcist became an immediate cultural obsession. The film's marketing relied on a specific claim that stayed with viewers long after they left the theater. The events depicted on screen were based on a true story. The historical record details a 13-year-old boy living in a quiet suburban Washington, D.C. neighborhood in 1949. Known to history by the pseudonym Roland Doe, his experience predates the cinematic fiction of a 12-year-old girl in Georgetown. Stripping away the Hollywood embellishments reveals a grounded account of a family crisis, documented by the people who witnessed it. In January 1949, Roland was grieving the loss of his beloved Aunt Harriet. She was a spiritualist who had taught the boy her practices, including how to use a Ouija board to communicate with the dead. Shortly after her passing, strange phenomena began interrupting the quiet of Roland's bedroom. He started hearing distinct scratching sounds coming from the floors and walls. Water dripped from pipes with no logical source, and his mattress would suddenly move on its own. Terrified and confused, Roland's family sought help from doctors and psychiatrists, looking for a rational, scientific diagnosis. When those professionals found nothing wrong, they consulted their local Lutheran minister, who was equally baffled. Mid-20th century medicine failed to explain the child's afflictions. With their options exhausted, the family abandoned the medical establishment and turned to ancient religious rituals. The Lutheran minister suggested they contact the Catholic Church. In late February 1949, a local priest named Father E. Albert Hughes petitioned his superiors and was granted permission to perform an exorcism on the teenager. Hughes strapped Roland to his bed to begin the recitations, but the ritual came to a violent halt. The boy broke off a piece of the metal mattress spring and slashed the priest across his shoulders, leaving the exorcism unfinished. A few days later, deep red scratches spontaneously broke out across Roland's body. According to his mother, one set of these scratches formed a specific word, Louis. She interpreted this as a sign. The family traveled to St. Louis, Missouri, where they had relatives, hoping a change of location would save their son. Escaping their physical geography provided no relief. The terrifying phenomena followed Roland across the country and into his relative's home on Roanoke Drive. Through a cousin attending St. Louis University, the family connected with two Jesuit priests, Father William Bowdern and Reverend Walter Holleran. The new investigators immediately noticed a bizarre behavioral pattern. During the day, Roland was calm and normal. At night, he would enter a trance-like state, erupting into screaming fits and making sounds in a guttural voice. The physical manifestations escalated. The priests reported seeing objects flying in the boy's presence. They noted a pitchfork-shaped pattern of red lines on his leg and an X on his chest, which they believed signified 10 demons. By late March, the family had reached their breaking point. They moved Roland from the house to the Alexian Brothers Hospital for more serious intervention. On April 18th, Roland awoke with violent seizures. As the priests invoked St. Michael to battle for the boy's soul, he described a vision of a great battlefield where the saint vanquished Satan. Roland suddenly came out of his trance and simply said, "He's gone." After weeks of escalating violence and bizarre phenomena, the ordeal ended with a sudden, eerie silence that baffled everyone involved. This event would have remained private if not for a vague article published by the Washington Post in August 1949. It reported that priests had performed an exorcism, but it provided no names and sat largely ignored for 2 decades. That changed when author William Peter Blatty discovered the story and accessed the unofficial diaries kept by the priests who performed the St. Louis exorcism. In his 1971 novel, Blatty transformed the facts. A 13-year-old boy became a 12-year-old girl, and the setting moved to Washington, D.C. The 1973 film added grotesque embellishments never in the original case, like 360-degree head spinning and green vomit. The film's imagery became the definitive version of the story, replacing the documented 1949 events with the extreme visuals of the blockbuster adaptation. Following the final ritual in the hospital, the supernatural activity ceased permanently. Roland Doe moved back to the East Coast, where he married and lived a quiet, unbothered adult life. He named his firstborn son Michael, a detail that honored the saint from his final hospital vision. The physical markers of this history have vanished. The hospital was demolished in 1978, and the DC neighborhood where the scratching first started has changed completely over the decades. A brief, terrifying fracture in one family's reality quietly healed itself, leaving a man to grow old in peace while the rest of the world trembled at his shock.